Hello, dear friends. Welcome back to this cozy little corner where stories come alive and where every life, no matter the age, carries wisdom worth sharing. Today, I want to share something truly special, Ellie's journey to wellness and the surprising lesson she learned. Never eat turmeric with these 3 foods. What began as a simple health routine turned into a wake-up call. Through trial, wisdom, and the courage to ask questions, Ellie discovered how common food pairings with turmeric can actually harm the body, especially as we age. Let's walk this path with Ellie and learn what she wished she'd known sooner. Willow Creek, Oregon, is a postcard-perfect town nestled in the Willamette Valley, where rolling vineyards meet fir-dotted hills, and the air carries whispers of lavender and fresh baked bread from the local market. Eleanor Ellie Thompson, a 67-year-old retired school teacher, lives in a sage-green cottage with a garden bursting with herbs and roses. Known for her love of cooking and natural remedies, Ellie's world shifts when a health scare tied to her beloved turmeric reveals hidden dangers. Guided by her community and her own curiosity, she uncovers the risks of pairing turmeric with 3 foods, transforming her approach to wellness and sharing a lesson that could save others. The late September light filtered through Ellie Thompson's kitchen window in Willow Creek, casting a golden glow over her butcher block counter, where jars of spices stood like sentinels of her culinary adventures. At 67, Ellie was a fixture in town, a retired school teacher whose chalk-dusted days had given way to gardening, book clubs, and perfecting recipes that warmed hearts and homes. Her cottage smelled of rosemary and memory, its walls lined with photos of her daughter, Clara, and grandkids giggling in the backyard. Today, though, Ellie's hands trembled as she clutched a doctor's note. Its words stark: elevated liver enzymes, digestive distress, possible inflammation. The diagnosis wasn't dire, but it was a jolt, a crack in the confidence she'd built since her husband's passing 5 years ago. It had started innocently enough. Ellie loved turmeric. Its earthy warmth, its golden hue, the way it promised health with every pinch. She'd read about its anti-inflammatory powers, its potential to ease arthritis, even its whispers of cancer prevention. So she'd woven it into her life. Turmeric tea with a twist of black pepper, curries rich with cream, smoothies bright with orange juice. But last week, after a particularly indulgent dinner, she'd woken with nausea, a dull ache in her side, and a fatigue that pinned her to her armchair. The doctor's visit followed, and now, as she sat at her table, the note felt like a riddle she couldn't solve. Clara breezed in, her coat dusted with autumn leaves, her nurse's badge still pinned from a shift at the clinic. "Mom, you look like you're grading a bad essay. What's going on?" Ellie sighed, sliding the note across. "It's my blood work, honey. Liver's acting up. Stomach, too. Doc thinks it might be something I'm eating. I thought I was doing everything right with my turmeric obsession, but now I'm not so sure." Clara scanned the paper, her brow furrowing. "Turmeric's supposed to be good, but I've heard it can cause trouble if you mix it wrong. You're always adding pepper or drowning it in fatty sauces. Maybe talk to folks around town. Miss June knows herbs and Dr. Patel's at the farmer's market. They might have ideas." Ellie nodded, her fingers tracing the rim of a spice jar. Turmeric, her golden ally, now felt like a stranger. She'd always trusted her instincts, blending flavors and remedies with a teacher's precision, but this was different. A lesson she hadn't studied for. Pulling on her cardigan, its wool soft against her skin, she stepped into the crisp Oregon air. the crunch of gravel under her boots, a rhythm of resolve. Willow Creek held answers, and Ellie was ready to listen. Food 1. Black pepper's hidden sting. Willow Creek's farmers' market unfolded each Saturday like a living quilt, stitched with color, scent, and sound. Wooden stalls lined the old town square, draped in burlap and sun-faded clothes. There were ruby red apples stacked like treasure, ropes of braided garlic hung like garlands, baskets of curly kale swaying gently in the breeze, and sunflowers towering from buckets like sentinels of joy. Children darted between legs, sticky with jam and laughter, while a violinist played a slow reel near the fountain, the notes lifting and looping through the crisp morning air. Ellie moved among it all with quiet wonder, her wicker basket swinging at her elbow. The world felt softer here. Familiar faces nodded in greeting. Mrs. Weaver with her honey, Tom from the dairy farm, the Stevens twins selling pumpkin bread, the mingling voices, the scent of cinnamon rolls and damp earth, the rustle of brown paper bags, everything wrapped around her like an old quilt, warm and known. At a booth, shaded by grapevines and wild mint, Ellie spotted June Harper, the town's herbalist and unofficial wisdom keeper. June, now 70, stood barefoot behind her display of dried herbs and homemade tinctures, her silver hair braided and tucked beneath a wide-brimmed straw hat that shimmered in the sunlight like wheat. Her hands were stained with soil and lavender, and her presence exuded a kind of grounded grace. "Ellie Thompson," June called, a smile breaking across her weathered face. "You're out early." That's usually a sign something's stirring in your heart. She handed Ellie a sprig of fresh thyme, fragrant and dewy. "What's got you looking so thoughtful?" Ellie hesitated, turning the thyme between her fingers. Then, in a low, earnest voice, she let it spill out. The doctor's warning, the fatigue, the turmeric tea she drank each night by candlelight, and the question that had been growing like ivy in her mind. Could it be harming me instead of helping? "I always add black pepper," she said, almost apologetically. "That's what the articles say to do, for absorption." I thought I was doing it right. June's expression softened into something between concern and compassion. She leaned forward, her eyes narrowing slightly, sharp and kind at once. "Oh, honey," she said, her voice like warm soup on a winter's night. "Turmeric's a gift, no doubt, but even gifts come with instructions. Black pepper's piperine. Yes, it boosts curcumin absorption by 2,000%, but that's a double-edged sword. For younger bodies, it's fine. But for us, in our 60s and 70s, she shook her head slowly. Piperine can irritate the stomach lining, mess with digestion, even overwork your liver. I learned that the hard way. 2 nights of turmeric pepper chai, and I was curled up with heartburn and regret. Ellie blinked, but I thought pepper was the key. Everyone online says so. June smiled gently, pressing a small jar into Ellie's hands. Inside were slices of candied ginger, glinting amber in the sunlight. Sometimes the world shouts loudest about what works for the young, but we need to listen to our bodies, not the crowd. Try turmeric plain. Add ginger or cinnamon if you like a little spice. Let the root do its work quietly. It knows how. It just takes a bit longer. Ellie stood there, jar in hand, her thoughts swirling like autumn leaves in the wind. She thought of her nighttime ritual, lighting the candle, grinding the pepper, watching the golden swirl of turmeric sink into steaming almond milk. A ritual that once felt healing, now tinged with uncertainty. That evening, she made her tea differently. No pepper, just turmeric, a slice of ginger, and a drizzle of honey. The scent was gentler, the taste mellow, like the whisper of an old friend instead of a shout. She sat by the window as twilight fell, sipping slowly, waiting. Her stomach, so often unsettled, remained calm. No fire, no discomfort, just quiet, just peace. It wasn't just a tweak in her routine, it was a revelation, a shift in how she listened, not only to experts or traditions, but to her own body. That subtle change marked something greater, the beginning of a more intuitive healing, one guided not by force, but by kindness. And for Ellie, that small cup of turmeric tea without pepper felt like the first true step on a path she hadn't known she needed. Food 2. The trap of high-fat meals. The next morning, under a sky brushed with soft streaks of dawn, Ellie returned to Willow Creek's market. The square was still waking, vendors setting up, steam curling from mugs of chai, birds calling above. She made her way to the spice stall under a striped awning, where glass jars shimmered in morning light. There stood Dr. Anil Patel, 65, silver-haired, composed. A retired physician, Anil now splits his time between the community clinic and the market, his hands trading scalpels for cumin and saffron. As Ellie approached, she saw him sorting delicate saffron threads on a linen cloth, each strand catching the sun like a tiny flame. His calm presence grounded her. "Ellie Thompson," he greeted with a warm smile, offering her a pot of cardamom. "Not here for recipes, are you?" She smiled faintly, but her voice dropped. "I've been feeling off. I cut out black pepper. June warned me, but something's still not right. I keep thinking, could it be my turmeric curries? The coconut milk, the naan, it's comfortable, but maybe it's too much?" Anil listened carefully. Turmeric and fat work together. Yes, it's fat soluble, but too much fat, especially creamy or rich meals, can overwhelm your system. As we age, digestion slows. Gallbladders strain. Even with turmeric, heavy meals can raise liver stress and blunt its benefits. Ellie looked concerned. "But I thought fat helped it work." "In moderation," he nodded, handing her a recipe card. "I ran tests on myself. My liver enzymes climbed with rich dishes, even healthy ones. But once I lightened the load, olive oil, veggies, lean protein, it all improved." The card showed a turmeric zucchini stir-fry, bright with garlic, ginger, and lime. Studies now show that pairing turmeric with heavy fats can raise liver stress by 30% in older adults. You don't need to give up comfort, Ellie. Just adjust it. That night, Ellie cooked the dish. No cream, no naan, just a light, fragrant stir-fry served with lemon. The flavors felt clean, soothing. Her body responded. No heaviness, no ache, just stillness. As she sat by the window with a cup of tea, Ellie realized letting go of rich foods didn't feel like deprivation. It felt like lifting a weight. She hadn't just changed her dinner, she'd found clarity. And in that clarity, freedom. Food 3. Acidic citruses, sour surprise. At Willow Creek's Sunlit Community Center, Ellie joined a midweek cooking class, drawn in by the scent of simmering spices and the warmth of shared laughter. She hoped to refine her approach to turmeric, learning not just recipes, but rhythm, balance, intuition. The room buzzed with energy. Chopping boards clacked, pots bubbled, and windows fogged with steam. At the center of it all stood Rosa Martinez, 69, a retired chef whose spirit radiated through every gesture. Her apron was splattered with turmeric, tamarind, and thyme, each stain a memory. Her silver curls framed a face lit with kindness and spark. As she chopped cilantro with practiced ease, her laughter filled the space like music. "Ellie, Carita, you're glowing today," Rosa said, tossing her a lime across the counter. "What brings you into my kitchen, besides the irresistible smell of lentils?" Ellie smiled, stirring her pot with care. "I've been rethinking turmeric. Got sick recently. Stomach and liver issues. I've cut out black pepper and heavy fats, but I still use turmeric in my morning smoothies, usually with orange juice. Is that okay?" Rosa paused mid-chop, her expression shifting from playful to serious. "Ah, mija, citrus and turmeric. Now that's a fiery mix. I used to do the same thing. Turmeric with lemon water, even grapefruit. I thought I was being healthy, boosting my immunity." She shook her head gently. "But I ended up with reflux, stomach cramps, nausea. Acidic fruits like oranges and limes can irritate the gut, especially when mixed with strong compounds like curcumin. It can overstimulate acid production, even interfere with nutrient absorption." Ellie's eyes widened. "I thought citrus was harmless. Vitamin C, right?" Weeks later, Ellie stood in her garden, her fingers gently brushing through the rosemary leaves as she gathered fresh sprigs for dinner. The crisp October air kissed her skin with a tender chill, a quiet reminder of the changing season. On the hills of Willow Creek, golden sunlight poured like honey across the landscape, casting warm glows over the weathered rooftop of the cottage she called home. From the porch came Clara's laughter, bright and easy, blending with the familiar clink of dishes from the kitchen, where neighbors were preparing for their weekly potluck. The house no longer felt silent or still. It was alive again, just like Ellie herself. Her latest blood work had returned like a song of hope. Liver enzymes back to normal, inflammation significantly reduced, her energy renewed, like spring after a long winter. But the deepest changes weren't listed on any chart. They shimmered in her gaze, once clouded, now calm. They echoed in her step, once heavy, now light and sure. Ellie had journeyed deep into the mystery of turmeric, a spice she once overlooked, now handled with reverence and precision, as though each teaspoon carried ancient wisdom. Black pepper, once her go-to, now sat quietly aside. Her teas had softened, ginger for warmth, honey for gentleness, and her stomach, once turbulent, now rested in peace. The rich, greasy feasts of the past had vanished from her table, replaced by vibrant stir-fries, soothing broths, and meals that felt like a blessing instead of a burden. Morning citrus smoothies gave way to creamy blends, avocados, seeds, almond milk, that no longer left behind the sting of acid or regret. Of course, she wasn't perfect. Some days, she added a little too much turmeric or tried a combination her body wasn't quite ready for. Curiosity would get the better of her, but perfection was never the goal. She was chasing something deeper, wisdom, gained through experience, trial, and grace. At 67, Ellie had once feared her health scare marked the end of her vibrant years. Instead, it became a beginning, a doorway to self-awareness, to the gentle teachings of June, Anil, Rosa, and the rhythm of Willow Creek itself. Her kitchen, long a place of emotional refuge, had transformed into a sanctuary of balance. Every spice now told stories, not only of healing, but of humility, patience, and care. As she reached down to snip a single rose for the dinner table, the velvety petals cool beneath her fingertips, Ellie felt something rare and profound: gratitude, not just for restored health, but for the gift of renewal, for the chance to keep growing, to keep giving, and to live fully in the golden autumn of her life. Ellie's story isn't hers alone. It's a beacon for you, whether you're 60, 70, or 80, or simply cherishing the years ahead. Maybe you too love turmeric's golden promise, stirring it into soups or teas, believing it's a shield against time. Maybe you've felt a twinge, a stomach ache, a fatigue that makes you wonder if your choices are helping or hurting. Wherever you stand, know this: your health is a garden, and every decision you make plants a seed for tomorrow. The 3 foods Ellie learned to avoid with turmeric aren't villains. They're lessons in care. Skip black pepper's fiery boost. Let turmeric shine gently, paired with cinnamon or ginger to soothe your system. Steer clear of heavy fats, those creamy curries or fried sides, and embrace light broths, olive oil, vegetables that lift rather than weigh you down. Hold off on acidic citrus, lemons, oranges that clash with turmeric's strength, and choose neutral fruits, creamy yogurts to cradle its power. These aren't losses, they're gains. Steps toward a body that thrives, a life that glows. You don't need to be a scientist or a chef to get this right. Start where you are. A pinch less pepper in your tea, a lighter dinner tonight, a smoothie without the tang. Small choices ripple, building mornings where you wake clear-headed, days where you move with ease, years where you savor every laugh with those you love. Your body isn't your enemy. It's your partner, waiting for you to listen, to choose wisely, to bloom. Ellie began with a scare, a woman who thought her golden spice had betrayed her. But she found the truth, and you can too. Right now, today, act. Check your pantry, rethink your recipes, talk to your doctor if you're unsure. You deserve health that radiates, a heart that trusts every meal, a future that sparkles with possibility. Don't let another day slip by. Make your kitchen a place of healing, your life a testament to care, and your years a canvas of vibrant color. If Ellie's journey has stirred something in you, if it sparked a desire to live better, join us. This channel is a haven for stories like hers, honest, heartfelt, brimming with wisdom, to guide you toward wellness at any age. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and share this with a friend, a parent, someone who deserves to